The Denver Broncos can no longer afford to be passive. They've got to make a splash move before the trade deadline. But before we talk about that, guys, I want to thank the affiliate partner for today's video, Green Gridiron Helmets. Use code DENSYN, link in the description down below to save off your first purchase on authentic NFL team helmets. Thank you so much to Green Gridiron, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming. We have seen several powerhouse teams in the AFC make moves to get better, especially with their weapons, while the Denver Broncos are sitting around like just twiddling their thumbs, kind of being passive. And the Broncos, if they want to make a serious push at making the playoffs this year, they can no longer afford to do that. They've got to make a splash move. They've got to try to get their weaponry core up to snuff with the rest of the NFL, especially at the tight end position. I think that the Broncos still have the worst tight end room in the NFL, despite seeing Lucas Kroll stepping up against his old team, the New Orleans Saints. He went out and caught a seam ball from Bo Nix, something that we have not seen in this offense for a very long time, so that was good to see, but I still think the Broncos need to add a playmaker at that position who can be a competent blocker, and David Njoku fits that bill perfectly. We're going to keep pounding the table on this channel for David Njoku until the trade deadline either passes or the Broncos go out and they make the move, or a move that's somewhat comparable to it. And the Browns have showcased that they're willing to be sellers at the trade deadline. They traded Amari Cooper to the Bills. The Kansas City Chiefs, they went out and they traded for DeAndre Hopkins this morning. We saw the New York Jets go out and trade for Devontae Adams. I don't think that's going to save the Jets, but when you look at the Chiefs and the Bills, both of them are championship contenders, and they made a move to go out and try to bolster their units. Of course, Denver is not a championship contender this year, but they're 4-3. Their defense is playing well. Their offense is showing incremental growth each and every week. This could very easily be a playoff team, especially as we get into the colder months of the year, late November, as we get into December, where teams are going to start running the football and playing defense, and the Broncos do both of those things very well. So that leads me to believe that the Denver Broncos have a very realistic path to making the playoffs this year, and I think that path could get even more realistic if they went out and added a dynamic weapon such as David Njoku. Now, I do want to bring in David Njoku's stats from last week versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think it's a coincidence that the first mostly full game that we saw, or at least it was a full half that we saw without Deshaun Watson in the lineup, David Njoku started to blossom. He had 14 targets in the game, 10 catches for 76 yards, and a touchdown from Jameis Winston towards the end of the game. It was basically a garbage time touchdown, but we did see David Njoku finally start to get involved, and I do believe the Cleveland Browns want to give it a little bit more time before they actually do make Njoku available, because they want to see if they can recapture some of that magic that they had last year with Njoku when Joe Flacco was in at quarterback. I think that Jameis Winston is a much better quarterback for David Njoku than Deshaun Watson is, and I believe that Jameis Winston gives them a chance to possibly try to revive their season. They're 1-6. It's going to be tough to make the playoffs, but at least try to make it a more respectable record at the end of the day. Ownership is stubborn. I don't think they want to move on from David Njoku. I think it was a very special circumstance with Amari Cooper where he kind of forced his way out and basically ended up kind of being able to get his way out because he made that contract so cheap. He restructured at the beginning of the year, and it made him basically worth the veteran minimum. In this case scenario, I don't think that David Njoku is going to be in such a big hurry to get moved, so it might be closer to the trade deadline that we actually see a David Njoku trade happen, especially if the Browns lose a couple more games. If they're 1-8, 2-7 as we get to the trade deadline, I could very easily see them making a move here. All right, Broncos country, Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think that the Browns are going to sit on their hands here? Do you think that they're going to make a move to trade David Njoku? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.